I bet you're sitting there wondering, what is global warming? Well, who better to tell you than Jason Box, a professor in glaciology at the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland.
Global warming is enhanced greenhouse effect. Greenhouse effect is natural. This is what keeps the surface of the planet much warmer than it would be without an atmosphere. Global warming is a problem of too much extra atmosphere, and that's the problem of adding carbon to the atmosphere. It makes it thicker. It's transparent to sunlight that comes through, heats the surface, but less of that the thermal radiation is getting out. That's the global warming problem. It's too much of a good thing, really, because some greenhouse effect is good. Too much means warming of the climate system, and there's multiple independent lines of evidence for that. So it's not really caused by human activity. And when you compare human activity to the many other things that climate responds to, human activity has become the dominant factor in influencing climate change. Something like 4/5 of the observed warming is attributable to human activity.
National Geographic says that annual rate of oceanic rise over the last 20 years has been 0.31 inches per year, which is roughly twice the speed of the preceding 80 years. If humans aren't the cause, then why are oceans rising? As we consume the most fossil fuels in history.
Fossil fuel emissions are a life-threatening problem.
567,151,000 represent the annual amount of CO2 in tons that is released in the atmosphere from simple human activities. Global warming is a serious issue and humans are the cause. Global warming is even affecting the weather. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency said that the Earth's average temperature has risen 1.4 degrees Fahrenheit over the past century and is projected to rise another 2 to 11.5 degrees over the next 100 years. These numbers may seem small, but the Environmental Protection Agency states that small changes in average temperature of the planet can translate to large and potentially dangerous shifts in climate and weather.
So do you think that if all humans right now cut off all factories, stopped all CO2...
Of course, that wouldn't happen. Instantly, what effect would that have? That actually would reduce the emissions to the atmosphere, or it would stop emissions, right? But the warming problem would not go away that quickly because there's been an imbalance. The oceans have taken on so much heat that at that point the heat would start moving back out of the ocean. It was going into the oceans. It has been going into the oceans. It would start moving back out and heating the atmosphere for several decades longer. In kind of practical terms, we now know that it's very important to transition away from fossil fuels because as good as fossil fuels are for generating electricity and so on, and this is a good thing, they have this side effect that we weren't really accounting for through the Industrial Revolution. And it's been more than 100 years that we have been burning a whole lot of fossil fuels. But now we know, and it's not been so long, that it's been a mainstream issue that we need to transition off of carbon intensity.
Some people think that there's been no surface global warming for well over a decade, and maybe none for decades more, as well as that Arctic ice increased by almost a third this past year, while that at the South Pole was thicker and wider than it's been in 35 years. This was written in a New York Post article, although the author, Michael Fumento, has no scientific background.
Facts are that global warming is very serious, it's very real, and it's all our fault.
It's a crime scene that has human fingerprints all over it.